So I just got back from a 2-week trip with my parents, returning to our motherland for the first time in 20 years. There's so much to unpack, and I want to share those reflections with you soon. But what I will say is that seeing them reconnect with the country, watching their healing journey, and maybe spending a little bit too much time with them has made me really reflect on this week's question. Enjoy episode 5. How could you have been a better child to your parents?
Oh, damn. That hits hard. You're trying to make us cry on this thing.
Oh, wow. I have a lot of answers for this.
I think I could still be a better daughter, so the question should not be in the past tense.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
That's a hard question because I'm already the perfect son. Nah, I'm joking.
Let go of my ego.
Could have been less stubborn and listened more.
Probably not being so angry and being more forgiving. You don't think that your parents and adults make mistakes.
By staying in touch with my culture a lot more when I was younger. Definitely speaking my language more.
I could have had a lot more compassion for understanding why my parents said the things they said or made the decisions they made, as opposed to just seeing it from my perspective.
I think I could have been a better daughter by finding a more constructive, more tactful way to have certain conversations that would have not been as hurtful or as challenging to them.
I could have been more patient with my parents.
I could communicate better.
If I were not very impulsive in my youth, I was a bit restless, so I could have been a better daughter.
Not getting so caught up in my emotions. Understanding that there's two sides to everything. And I think by not rebelling so much.
Oh, do you want the whole list? Yeah, I'll give you the whole list. I could have been way more grateful for the work that they put into me and my brother. I could have been way more positive, been way more strong in my beliefs and stuck to our ethics and our values growing up. I could have worked harder in school. I could have talked to them about what I was feeling and why I was feeling. I could have acted less like a victim. There's so many things.
By trying to understand where my parents were emotionally, understanding that they are the way they are because of their own traumas. I wish I had known that. It would have made childhood a lot easier, but also perhaps I could have supported them better.
A lot of lessons that were at the time probably weren't received as well as they could have been, but they're important lessons that your parents were trying to impart to you. Now thinking back that I've got kids of my own, I'm grateful that I've had those experiences to draw back on, and appreciating where those opinions and perspectives have come from have been so valuable and even more valuable now.
Like, I like to take time for myself. I like to make sure that my cup is full before I fill other people's cups. But at the same time, I think I could find a better balance there where I can still be available to my family when they need me without completely sacrificing my own well-being.
I would have been more assertive. It would have helped my parents understand me better, I think.
I guess the South Asian rage and passion run in my blood, maybe not acting out on that.
Being more patient, understanding, a little less short.
I think as a child, I took for granted a lot of things. Like, I didn't really understand that my parents had their own hardships and struggles coming to this country as a migrant. So I didn't really appreciate what they were doing for me at the time.
By saying no to a lot more things and understanding how to manage very different personalities at a much earlier age.
Telling her that I have appreciated her and my dad and everything that they've done for me, and not just being such a brat about it.
Maybe when I was growing up, just listening to the lessons my parents were, I thought I knew everything. Now I'm pretty in tune with my family and I think I make them proud.
If I'd known that it was close to the end of his life, I would have probably done things differently.
Our parents are very kind and caring. At that age when they passed away, I didn't know their value. Only now as a parent, I know how they brought us. So I could have told them we are very grateful to have our parents.
By taking the time to empathize more. With every generation, there are changes in the way of thinking, in the way of doing life. I wish earlier on I took the time to empathize with why their way of thinking or way of doing things was different from my own way of doing things.
As adults, we would all be happier people if we learned to forgive our parents. Our generation often seem to attribute themselves, their successes and maybe their failures to their upbringing, and directly or indirectly put their parents at the center of it. I feel if we learn to forgive our parents because they did the best they could given the circumstances, we would break the shackles that we might have self-imposed upon ourselves.
I could have played sports like my dad wanted me to instead of crying when the ball was kicked at me. It was muddy and it was dirty and I didn't want it. I reckon I could have been a bit more studious. I know that sounds really bad, but I look back at me and I was just like, oh, if I studied a bit more, maybe they were onto something. Like, I think they would have been a little bit right.
If I became a doctor, maybe, because that's the whole mantra. Go to school, study, go to university and become a doctor.
I think I'll turn that question around. What do I want better from my parents? I wish they were stricter with me. I think they were too lax and too kind to me.
Accepting that no one is perfect and they're just people as well. That manifests itself through conversations and fights that we might have, where I will view it as a cross-examination in a law court about they're doing this wrong or they're doing that wrong, and I just have to remember that they're just people as well, getting through life the same way that I am.
If I talk back less, I was very opinionated. I don't hold back. If I am thinking something, I'll let my parents know. And I think when I was a teenager, I must have come across as me talking back. I think maybe I could have changed that about myself.
I could have been less of a troublemaker, that's for sure. I was a shit-stirrer.
If I didn't have that rebel side of me when I was a teenager.
I was a rebel. I wasn't afraid to not listen to my parents. I pretty much tested my parents by pushing the boundaries. So 20 years ago, I would have said by not being naughty, but now I can't say that because there's nothing wrong with what I did.
I should have and could have listened to my parents. They always had the right intention and the best for me, but I guess I was a bit of a rebel child, so I always wanted to do things my way.
I mean, as the oldest daughter of a South Asian household, I think I was the best daughter I can be. Nah, all jokes aside, I think because I'm the eldest, there was a lot of expectations on me, and because there was a lot of expectations on me, I had a lot of expectations on my parents, but truly they were doing the best they can.
I should be willing and able to shoulder more responsibility for my parents, particularly as they get older. So I wish that I could be brave enough and organised enough to do more of that for them. I think when I was younger, I could have been a better daughter by listening to them more, because actually most of the things that they said were right.
My mum had a sister with an intellectual disability, and her mum also had a mental illness. She was a carer for both of them as well as myself, so maybe I could have been a better daughter in that maybe I could have stepped up and done more.
Having more of an insight of what a parent goes through, because every parent does the best that they can, and obviously you're going to make so many mistakes, and if I had that understanding a little bit earlier in my life that multiple truths can exist and multiple narratives can exist and all be true at the same time, that would probably have made me a better, more understanding daughter.
You know, sometimes my parents can be quite backward in their thinking, and sometimes I just like lose it. So yeah, I could definitely be more respectful to my parents by not being so fussy.
I think I could have been a better child by being more of a child.
Oh, I sometimes think I could have been a better daughter if I pursued a traditional career. I always think that to myself, and I even say it to my parents sometimes. You sent me to such a good school. I should have just been a good daughter and just stuck with accounting or married someone within our community. But wouldn't change it.
Oh, if I've gotten a doctorate degree, a law degree, an engineer, actually everyone in my family is an engineer. The fact that I got a marketing degree was me going rogue.
I'd say I could have tried to understand their perspective a little bit more, but that's a tough ask for a 7-year-old. We could always have more empathy, more compassion.
By being a better listener, trying to put myself in their shoes, understanding their perspective.
Probably listening a bit more to my parents when I was younger, because generally their advice was pretty good.
Being more in tune with why my parents might be acting a certain way or say certain things.
If I hadn't yelled at my parents that much. They are always complaining that I'm lovely to everybody else, but not to them.
Probably helping out more around the house. I don't spend much time at home.
I think I challenge my parents sometimes by telling them things a bit too last minute.
I don't think I was very naughty. I could have been better at school.
I'll try to love the same way she loved me to my son.
I could have spent more time with my parents.
Spend more time with my parents. That's something I need to work on.
Spending more time and learning to cook.
I think as you get older, you realize your parents aren't invincible. You wish you could spend more valuable time. I think I would be a better son is if you prioritize them and spend more time with them, doing things that bring them joy too.
I left home when I finished year 12, moved to an entirely different country, so I guess being with them more.
Spend time more with my family. I was outside home since I was 18. As you grow older, you realize that your parents are also getting older. The conversations which I feel I should be having right now is not there.
Just being more grateful. Like God, like my parents have given me everything. Even though they're very strict in many ways, they gave me everything. I wish I was more grateful for that growing up.
I had access to education, food, all my basic necessities, which my parents could not get. And I feel like I've just kind of taken advantage of that and been a bit selfish with my own aspirations, which they've supported so much. So I wish I just took a step back and kind of asked where they were in life and what they wanted, because they've been always thinking about me.
I think I can be a better son every single day. I can think of so many ways.
I think I'm on a journey being a better son. Like everything that I'm doing right now is so I can get to that point. I feel like they've given me so much and I haven't given back yet. And that's why I'm doing everything, so that I can.
Appa set the bar so high and given me so many opportunities and never really say no to me. So I'm constantly assessing
chasing that and constantly trying to chase that. To be the best son is all I can do is try.
I don't think you can ever repay the debt that you have to your parents, and it's not meant to be repaid, but it's always worthwhile to strive for it.
Apparently I was a good kid. I wasn't very naughty, so I don't know, maybe I'd have to ask my parents that. Yeah.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching another episode of Pulse Check. Now, while the Santa Mias behind me are packing up, if you've been enjoying the questions I've been asking and want to have more of those conversations with your own loved ones, our podcast actually created a card game to help you break the ice, to have some of those big discussions that we don't always have day to day within a South Asian family. There's more than 80 questions in here that will help you spark a conversation and hopefully help you learn something new about those closest to you. Now, if that's not really your vibe and you want something a bit more lighthearted and fun, we also created a party game which has all of the classics just with a South Asian twist. Check out the link in the description for a special promo code. Hey, get back to work. See you next time.